I was just grabbing my coffee at a quiet cafe downtown when suddenly a man in a ski mask stormed in, yelling at the barista, "Empty the register! Now!" Everyone froze except me. I'd been training for a moment like this for years. "Hey, genius!" I shouted, drawing his attention. The cafe fell into dead silence as the man turned to me. "What did you just say?" he barked, waving his gun in my direction. I calmly stood, setting my coffee cup on the counter. I said, "Genius? Because pulling a stunt like this here? Really smart." "Back off! I'll shoot!" I smirked, shrugging off my jacket. "Go ahead, but maybe you should check your safety first." His momentary confusion was all I needed. In 2 quick strides, I was on him, locking his arm and disarming him in one fluid motion. I had him pinned on the floor before the gun even hit the ground. "Time's up, buddy. Jail's calling," I said, as the barista frantically dialed the police. "Hi, my name is Riley. I've always dreamed of following in my late mother's footsteps to become an investigator. She was a legend, and I've made it my mission to live up to her legacy." As the robber was led out in cuffs, a familiar face appeared. Detective Marcus Reed. He was my mom's old partner, and since her passing, he'd taken me under his wing. "Impressive work, Riley," he said, smiling warmly. "Still got that spark, huh?" "Learned from the best," I replied. "You've got guts, kid, and I've got a job for you," he said, leaning in conspiratorially. That's how it always went with Marcus. He had a way of roping me into things I couldn't resist. "What kind of job?" I asked. He glanced around and lowered his voice. "We've got a problem with a man named Damien Cross. Wealthy, influential, and shady as hell. We're pretty sure he's laundering money, but we need proof." "And where do I come in?" "He's looking for a new personal assistant, someone sharp, resourceful, and discreet." "You want me to spy on him?" "Exactly. Get close, find the evidence we need, and we'll bring him down." Mission accepted. Chapter 1. The Job. The next day, I walked into Cross Tower, Damien's luxurious high-rise headquarters. The marble floors gleamed, and the place smelled of money. Damien was waiting for me in his massive office. His dark, piercing eyes and sharp suit gave off a predatory vibe. "You're the applicant?" he asked, barely glancing at my resume. "Yes, Mr. Cross. I'm Riley Matthews." I like efficient people, Riley. Can you handle pressure?" "I thrive on it," I said confidently. His lips curled into a faint smile. "Good. You're hired." That was easier than expected, but as I left his office, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just stepped into a lion's den. Chapter 2. Close Quarters. Damien's son, Cade, was another story. Tall, brooding, and annoyingly charming, he treated me like a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. "You're not like the others my dad hires," he said, watching me one afternoon. "Because I'm not here to impress you," I shot back. He smirked. "You sure about that?" Cade had a way of getting under my skin, but I couldn't afford to lose focus. My mission was to find out where Damien hid his illicit assets, not trade barbs with his son. Still, Cade had an uncanny ability to show up wherever I was, asking questions that felt just a little too pointed. Chapter 3. Undercover. By night, I planted hidden cameras in Damien's office. By day, I played the perfect assistant, handling schedules, taking calls, and gathering intel. But the deeper I dug, the more dangerous it became. Damien's office had more security than a bank vault, and one wrong move could blow my cover. One night, as I was installing a bug in his private study, I heard a voice behind me. "Looking for something?" I spun around to see Cade leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed. I thought I left my notepad in here," I stammered. He raised an eyebrow. "In my dad's locked study? Nice try." For a moment, I thought he'd turn me in, but instead, he stepped closer. "Whatever you're up to, be careful," he said softly. "My dad doesn't forgive mistakes." Chapter 4: The Reveal. As the weeks went on, Cade's walls began to crumble. He confided in me about the pressure his dad put on him to take over the family business and how he hated being part of something so corrupt. "I wish I could walk away," he admitted one night. "You can," I said. "Maybe," he replied, his gaze lingering on me. For the first time, I wondered if Cade might be the key to taking Damien down, but that also meant putting him at risk. Chapter 5: The Final Move. The night I found Damien's secret vault, everything went sideways. I was photographing the evidence when Damien himself walked in, flanked by 2 armed guards. "I knew you were too good to be true," he snarled. Before I could react, Cade stepped between us. "Let her go, Dad," he said. "Get out of the way, Cade," Damien barked. But Cade stood firm, giving me just enough time to hit the panic button on my watch. Minutes later, Marcus and his team stormed in, arresting Damien and his goons. Epilogue. A new beginning. With Damien behind bars, Cade decided to start fresh. He opened a small cafe far away from his father's shadow. As for me, I finally earned my place as a junior investigator. And Cade, let's just say he's still part of my story.